The Eastern Cape Book Fair had taken place today, attracting a number of accomplished authors trying to raise a generation of budding authors by transferring some of those ambitions and skills onto young people. Busisiwe Jemsane-Mantashe, Director for Languages and Literature at the Department of Sports, Arts, Culture and Recreation in the province, joins us. Busisiwe, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Perhaps take us to the heart of what were some of the highlights of the book fair that took place, that had attracted accomplished authors like Zeksimda and Sihle Sipo Nonchokweni, for instance, who were among some of the people that addressed the book fair. What were the key highlights and takeaways this time?
I think one of the thing that amazed us about the book fair, that it turned out to be more of a conference, if you may. I know the panelists and authors, when they were coming out, they were saying we have made resolutions and we expect that they are implemented, and that we would want these more regularly, have these book fairs as often as you can as a province. And I think we're happy as a province with what has taken place. I mean, the children's corner, where children were being read stories, there was book reading, there was also educational games that were taking place within the book fair. But also you had authors coming in and out, buying, exhibiting books. And I mean, we hosted authors from as far as Cape Town, authors from the Free State who were coming to exhibit and sell their books. Over 40 authors that were part of this book fair. And I think for the department, this lays a foundation for where we would want to see the Eastern Cape Provincial Book Fair.
Yeah. One of the biggest hurdles that young authors, particularly unpublished authors, face is the hurdle of publishing. It's costly and often requires a vast number of resources to be able to pull off. What are some of the resolutions that came out in the book fair among some of the delegates around how publishers and publishing assistance can be given to aspiring authors?
In fact, the book fair was convened mainly to deal with that. There was a particular dialogue that spoke to the African, the future of African literature, because you go and you hardly find, I mean, you can come to the Eastern Cape, one of the bookstores here, you would be very lucky to find 2 books written in isiXhosa, and this is a book, this is a province that is predominantly isiXhosa speaking. So part of the discussions is how do we force the industry, because I think now as government we're at a point where we're saying we need to force the industry to recognize African literature, but also how do we open doors. And as a department, we took a decision that the little money that government has will not be enough to support writers, because as you said, the costs of publishing a book are costly, and at the end of the day, when one publishes a book without any support, they get little to nothing for that work, which is why we have been on a drive to engage the private sector. And I think we are very happy that we have been able to confirm a partnership with the Fibre Processing and Manufacturing SETA that has allocated an amount of 800,000 rands to this particular book fair. Some of the money to be used to publish books for our authors, and we'll be publishing 20 manuscripts for our authors across the province. But more than that, one of the critical elements or challenges that you face as a rural province of the Eastern Cape, where many of your writers come from disadvantaged backgrounds, is that they would not have the necessary tools that involves laptops for them to be able to type out a manuscript. And so we've engaged Metropolitan to come on board. And last night we handed over 5 laptops to authors that we are going to be publishing for. And I think excitingly was a commitment by Standard Bank to say they will be buying from those authors the books that will be publishing. And so the discussion is ongoing, and we are engaging the private sector to come on board, and we want to sustain and make sure that we have more of these partnerships so as to make sure that we support our authors holistically.
But 3 weeks ago, South Africa observed National Book Week, which this year had fallen around the same time as International Literacy Day. And the big conversation the world over, not just in South Africa, has been about literature that is fit for purpose as far as diversity of languages are concerned. And in National Book Week in South Africa, the theme was multilingual education and making sure that is accessible. You spoke earlier about the lack of isiXhosa written manuscripts in the province. Was there a conversation across different departments, the Department of Education as well, at a provincial level, about how to make mother tongue education more accessible through platforms like the book fair?
In fact, the Department of Sport, Recreation, Arts and Culture is leading that discussion, because part of the work that we do is to promote multilingualism, which is why the MEC Sibulele Ngongo had expressed concern when we received manuscripts, and we found that isiSotho had about 4 authors that submitted, but we could see that there are Sesotho authors in other languages, but authors are not writing in their own languages. And so we are on a drive to encourage them to do that, to write in their own languages. We are very concerned because part of the work we would want to do is to bring down the dominance of English and be at a point where we are able to promote all official languages. I mean, it's simple things as walking into a department and finding a board that says welcome. That on its own defeats the purpose of promoting multilingualism. We should be able to walk into government departments and find signage that is written in all official languages of that particular province. And so that is the drive. We are really trying to engage all stakeholders, including the Department of Education and PENSALP, in making sure that we have deliberate plans and programs that are going to promote multilingualism.
Busisiwe, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Busisiwe Jemsane-Mantashe is the Director for Languages and Literature at the Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture.